You're waking up with the Bill Meyer Show on 99.3 KCMD and FM 106.7 KMED.
17 after 8. John West in studio with me this morning. He's a businessman running for Josephine County Commission. And it's not as large a field as, let's say, the Oregon Republican Party running for governor. So you're not one of 17, I don't think, John. But there's quite a few people toss their name in there, right?
Yeah, there's 8 of us.
Okay, tell us a little bit about your background, business person. What do you do, and what made you want to do this in the first place?
Well, I was born in Josephine County, so the county is pretty dear to my heart. And
this is home, in other words.
Yes. I'm invested heavily in Josephine County. And so I have several businesses. I have a land development business, a mining business, a logging business, a firefighting business. I have a snowcat business. I use Tucker snowcats from Medford here.
Yeah.
And so some of them are seasonal, but I've kind of reached to all ends and made everything work.
I guess an interesting way of looking at your career then is that you've actually done real things. You have not been living in the air as, you actually deal with what's on the ground, in the ground, making things happen. Would that be fair?
Yes, that pretty much explains it.
So why then would you want to then go into politics, into this situation? What is driving you?
Well, I see the problems we have in our county, and I either become part of the solution or I have a couple of choices. I sit back and complain, fix it myself, get in there and help the other commissioners fix it, or I pack up and leave.
You pack up and leave. You think it's that serious in Josephine County at this point?
Well, I think between Oregon and what's coming on in Josephine County, I think there's our choices, and I don't want to leave. I'm not a quitter.
Where do you see then the intrusions? And I think that's the term I'm going to use from Mr. X, Ed, who I talk to quite often about this. Where are the intrusions in Josephine County government, let's say, and what would you, if you were a Josephine County commissioner, do to try to address some of this?
Well, of course, Salem is always going to be our Achilles heel. It's part of our big issue for us. But in our own local government, sometimes we're our own worst enemy. Sometimes we stand in the way of, people come to me, John, we need affordable housing, but regulations stop builders, developers from promoting and getting this affordable housing. We stifle it. We do everything. It seems like government just fails us. And I think we need to streamline things. We need government, but we need government to work for us instead of against us.
One of our challenges here is, and I think I'm going to have to start bringing this up every time I hear someone talk about affordable housing, is that the state of Oregon, by definition, is doing everything possible to make housing unaffordable.
Correct.
It's just kind of the way it is. And it starts with land use planning. I hear very little call, though, for people to actually go after the legislature and repeal the concept that the state of Oregon should know how Josephine County or Jackson County or Coos and Curry County should be able to be developed and use their land any more than some idiot on LCDC. Well,
if we could just get the voters to come out and vote, we could make a change in Salem.
You think so?
I think it's my understanding there's about 7 counties, and if we could get the voters to vote and come out, we could change Salem.
What do you believe you could do at a county level to resist some of these intrusions?
Well, just take our planning, our building, public works, our own government agencies. If we streamline them and we made the process easier, faster, and we don't need to raise fees every other month or every, it seems like the fees, every time I go in there, they went up. Every time I go in there, it doesn't take 30 days, it takes 60 days. 60 days, it takes 120 days. Time is money. And to all of us that are either builders, developers, or whatever, pretty soon the time keeps us from getting where we need to be. And then the time, because it costs us money, we have to pass it on to the next person. Pretty soon they say, well, how come it's so expensive? Well, the government regulation has caused a lot of this.
Okay. And How would you relate this then to affordable housing?
Well, I just think that right now in Josephine County, we have a land base, but one is our city council isn't expanding like they're not thinking in the future. Because
are they keeping the urban growth boundary small?
Yes.
Which, of course, as far as I'm concerned, is another communist principle that you have an urban growth boundary. But
I'm with you.
Okay.
I can't solve the city council issues. I wish I could.
Yeah.
But I can't. But even in the county, we have chunks of land that are zoned R2.5, RR5, and by the time you go through the process, it costs so much money. We're finding out there's land all out there that's not even getting developed that's zoned for it because government has got in the way. And if we could speed that process up and create more housing, it wouldn't be such an expense that's going on right now because we're such a short of housing. It's raised the cost of housing. If we had more, the housing costs would come down.
All right. John West is running for Josephine County Commission. I wanted to ask you, John, I know that a part of one of the things that you're kind of big on is trying to prevent what's the proper term, I guess, the grants pacification, I guess, of the Josephine County Commission. Is that a way of looking at it? And that essentially most of the new people that go on the county commission tend to be coming from the city council of Grants Pass. Is that something that you've been a fan of or not a fan of?
Well, my problem is it seems like what we've inherited that the voters has voted or whatever, however you want to call it, what we get the most of running is people from the city council or ex-mayors. And so I heard this comment from one of the county commissioners on a tax levy. And he said, well, this tax levy doesn't affect me any. I live in the city. Mm-hmm. Exactly. There's our problem. It's easy to get on the county and be a county commissioner, but when you want to raise taxes or force regulation on the people in the county, it doesn't affect you because you live in the city. But all of us in the county, we take the beat of it. And so my deal is everything should come to the voters except for the day-to-day activities. All the big tax levies, regulation, ordinances, I want the people to vote on that. I want them to decide because our job is to work for them and serve them, not to dictate to them how we think it should be.
John, what do you believe is a path forward here I know the sheriff is his own elected position, but the county commission, of course, has great influence on where things go. And because that's just the way it is. I mean, you got to get it into the budget, et cetera, et cetera. What do you see as a path forward for law enforcement funding? There's been a lot of controversy about this. Some are wanting a district. Other people are wanting, let's say, a tourist tax in the summertime, sales tax and things. What is your take on that, being a county resident? And looking at what's going on in law. I mean, you got the marijuana grows, you got the other disorder. I mean, does everybody want? And by the way, I know people in Cave Junction, but do you want all of Josephine County to have the situation the Cave Junction at times endures?
So in my campaign, I've been talking to people from Cave Junction, Williams, Wolf Creek, Sunny Valley, Merlin, Grants Pass. Everyone is completely on board that we need to fund the sheriff.
Okay.
So my next question is...
At what level, though?
Everybody would like actually a little more than what we have. They think if we have 12 deputies, I say, well, how many do you think we need? They say 20. And I said, okay, so tell me how we fund it. So the first thing they asked me is, well, if you go in as county commissioner, will you look and see if there's any places to cut? And if that money's available to be shifted to the sheriff, shift it over and then let us come back. And if we need to raise taxes or do something else, bring that to us and be honest with us.
But essentially, hasn't the sheriff's department been running on reserves in the county anyway?
The
last few years.
It has. So people think that you're going to go in and wave a magic wand and fix it all with cutting. It's not possible. It's not. I can't go in there and work with the commissioners and say, we're going to cut all these budgets and come up with the money. It's not possible. So somewhere the people has to decide what are they willing to give or pay.
Mm-hmm. John West is with me. Happy to take your calls, and we're going to have him on for a few more minutes and talk about some of the issues in Josephine County. He's one of 8 running for the county commission position. 770-5633, KCMD and KMED.
99.3 KCMD, FM 106.7 KMED, and this is the Bill Meyer Show.
John West, candidate for Josephine County Commission, electjohnwest.com. It's pretty easy. Easy name to remember there, okay? He's John, and he's in the West. No, the Northwest, or the Southern Oregon Northwest. One way or the other. We appreciate you being on here, John. Cohen, you had a question with him about some land use policy. Go right ahead. Take it away.
Yeah, John, it sounds like a lot of my issues, you are really in your wheelhouse. Both of my hot issues are with land and mining. But the first one is, we've been discussing now for 2 years without any action in this county, ADUs or alternative dwelling units for the mother-in-law style unit, which would involve in-ground pumpable septics. And one of the local business owners, he purchased a lot of these units based on that, expecting them to start being a hot commodity. And it seems like the commission has just forgotten about the issue.
Is that something you've been involved with, John? Could you speak to Cohen's concern?
Yeah. So this is just new to the county, and the county now is allowing the mother-in-law and those type of units now in places that they never allowed them before, and most of the public does not know that. In recent subdivisions that I built, people are putting them in all over now, and so we're getting that. More. I think people needs to research it. Don't just go in and have the county tell you no, because that's not true. So those are available more than ever before.
The second one with mining, Herman Bearchecker started to pursue the idea of deregulating back to its, just removing the moratorium that Kate Brown put on suction dredge mining, especially for places like Chinook Park and such that have sediment left over that was pushed down from the dam removal, that they suction dredged there at the dam site, but it just moved it 2 miles down the river.
What's the question, though? What's the question?
Is there any chance that you would advocate removing that moratorium for our county so we can get back to mining?
All right. Appreciate the call. Thanks for that. What do you say, John?
So most people don't realize Josephine County is one of the richest counties around in gold. I tell people that I believe we have as much gold almost as Alaska. It would shock you how much gold reserves are in Josephine County. And we need to promote the mining industry. We can do it environmentally safe. We can mine. I own suction dredges. I own patented mines. And when you suction dredge, the fish come up, and as you're dredging, the particles come up and they sit there and eat right there by the end of the suction nozzle underwater. And they gain so much from that. But our state system, they everything is a crisis, just like, whether it's the dams, we got to remove the dams. They're against anything good. So I'm full bore for mining. I'm going to try to promote it as much as possible.
Very good. I'm speaking with John West this morning, 832 KMED KCMD. Good morning. You're with Bill Meyer, John West. Who's this? Go ahead.
Hey, it's Matt again. Sorry to bug you again, Bill.
That's all right, Matt. You have a question for John? I mean, he's in your backyard.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
Actually, I do. I realize that water is a state issue, handled at the state level. But, John, I wanted to get your take on, the water issues we're having right now versus future development, real estate development, adding more people, more water being, consumed, that kind of a thing. And how do you balance that out?
Well, so here's our deal. If we don't add more people, the people that are left have to pay all the cost as the costs keep rising. I believe we can add people to our community. And the water issue, the average house only uses, I believe, 400 gallons a day. So we're letting more water The city of Grants Pass is making millions of dollars, I believe, off of selling water in water trucks to the pot growers. And if we funneled that water to the housing developments, wouldn't that be a better place to put that water than selling it to the pot growers?
Well, you'd be preaching to the choir for me.
All right. Appreciate the call there, Matt. Thanks for that. 770-5633 to join in. Like I said, this is not the longest talk we're going to have here, John, but I know that you are one of the people that are kind of a contrarian on what's happening with O&C lands and funding and trying to replace the government funding here. And you were telling me that you're not actually giving up on the ability of getting more funding for the county through the Fed relationship. Tell me a bit about that and your take on it.
So, as a small business owner, if I gave up every time I was told no, I would have gotten nowhere. So it's the same way with the O&C funding. We won the first round in the courts. I've been in communication with some of the people on the O&C funding board. It's still moving forward. And I, as a county commissioner, I want to be involved. I want to be in that fight. Whether we get 1 million or 10 million or 55 million, I want to get every penny we can get for the county.
You get 55 million back, which is what you had back in the old days there. I mean, you're a hero.
That's not realistic, and
Yeah,
I know
I know.
that's not going to happen. But even if we got $1 million or $2 million, it's $1 million or $2 million we didn't have.
Mm-hmm.
So, but to say, oh, it's not going to happen, let's give up, move on. It's my job to stick with it until it's over, and it's not over.
What do you think is probably the brightest industry, the brightest star that you think could be attracted to set up shop in industry, other than perhaps marijuana growing and hemp growing, which seems to have sort of set itself up there, over time?
Well, the state and the county government, both, has gotten in the way of our farming, our ranching, our mining. We need to go back and promote what started Josephine County. That's the timber industry, the mining, the farmers, the ranchers. But in that, we need to bring industry. What happens is industry goes right by us on I-5 and comes to Central Point and Medford because county government is not promoting it. It's not doing the job it should to stop the industry and have them come there. We have the land to put them.
Yeah, is timber realistic? And I bring this up because the mills are gone now too. I mean, Rough and Ready shut down. Yeah, maybe we drive past some nice open warehouses on 199. All the time. Where would it go?
So we're not. I'm realistic as a business person. We're not going to get new mills built in Josephine County. They're not going to put the hundreds of millions of dollars into it. But there's a lot of other industry that promotes fantastic jobs. Lots of people don't. They say, "Well, I don't want a big box store because it causes too much traffic and it pushes the mom and pop stores out." And I said, "So what do you want?" Well, we want some sort of industry. We have a great industry out at Illinois Valley. The Rogue Truck Body Shop employs 80 people. Man, they do a fantastic job. I just met with them this week. What a great place. We should promote them and help them to not to do 80 people, but 180 people.
Those are the kind of jobs also that would keep people here in the Valley after graduation from high school, too, which is, it's been a big brain drain. That's been something that all of our counties have been fighting, that you think the only way to live is to go get a gender studies degree and go to work for the government in Portland. That kind of thing.
We had a forum Tuesday night, and one of the candidates said that the kids didn't necessarily need to leave, that there was plenty of six-figure jobs available in Josephine County. I have no idea where they're at. And tell me, how many kids get to come out of high school and get a six-figure job? I was kind of astounded by that.
I've never hit six figures in my life. I would have, I wish I'd like to go to that school. If that's the case.
My daughter's got a master's and a bachelor's, and she said, "Well, Dad, tell me where these jobs are at." You hear a lot of people say a lot of things, but realistically, we got jobs available, but they're not six-figure jobs. They're $30,000, $40,000 jobs or $20,000 a year jobs. And, our kids are moving because our county is not conducive to them. It's not a friendly county to promote the young people. It's more of a tourism and a bedroom community. That's what it's turned into. And we don't need to change the whole community. If we want to help pay for it, we need to offset it by bringing in industry and getting people to share the costs.
Code enforcement has been a bone of contention in Josephine County. Heck, it's been a bone of contention in Jackson County, too. I mean, everywhere you go. It's like people are hungry for order, and yet at the same time, they don't necessarily want code enforcement officers crawling up their behind, every other day. So where would you rather, as a county commissioner, come down on such an issue?
Well, we got the new ordinance that got passed, and
right.
I expect it to be repealed. So I don't think we need more government and coming onto our property and dictating to us over a chicken house, over a fence post, over little things.
Where do you draw that line then? Because there's been lots of disorder and crime in the illegal marijuana grows. We know about that.
Well, yeah, you go especially, and you can go on the outskirts of Grants Pass, but go to the Illinois Valley and it's a train wreck. Go to the Williams Valley, Sunny Valley. So you see all the greenhouses, hoop houses, and all that. That's where we need to concentrate. But the everyday homeowner who's busted his buns, and we don't need to go after them. We don't need to become the RoboCop county that goes onto everybody's personal property and nitpicks them over every single little thing. That's over the top.
Does Josephine County need to increase taxes in order to be able to be successful, in your view? Or what level, if any? It's not a very high property tax levy.
So I know we're one of the lowest in the state, but that is not for me to decide. It's for the citizens to decide. If the citizens want to raise taxes, then so be it. I'm not a raising tax type guy. I just don't like it. I hardly ever vote for raising taxes.
All right. And a final question I would say this to any candidate, and that's being, okay, I'm hanging out with you. And then I'm saying, John, give me your 30-second pitch. All right. What's your pitch to get your vote?
So I'm a small business guy who raised businesses up from $500 to multi-million-dollar businesses. And I am going to, if you elect me, I'm going to go in there. I'm going to serve you. I'm going to work for you. And I'm going to treat every dollar as if it was coming out of my own pocket. And I am going to try to cut the waste and abuse of government and make it work for the people.
ElectJohnWest.com. John West, we appreciate you coming by, and thanks for making the drive.
Thank you.
We'll talk again soon, all right? It's 8:42, KC.